I knew something was wrong the moment my phone buzzed, you know? Not a regular text, not some spam call, but a trembling FaceTime from my little sister, Princess. She never called me midday, and she never ever cried. She's tough as nails, always has been. So right then, my stomach just dropped. But let me back up a sec, because this war, it didn't start the day the sirens came screaming down our street. Nah, this thing had been building for a long time, like storm clouds stacking up behind a fake sunny sky. Before I dive in, hey, drop your country in the comments. Let's see just how far this wild story travels. I bet it's further than Carla Charlotte's sense of shame. So here's the scene. 2 years back, my sister and I moved into Briarwood Ridge. Supposed to be idyllic, right? Manicured lawns, everybody waving HOA newsletters on the porch, classic suburbia. Except underneath all those good mornings, it's just snakes in the grass waiting for the first excuse to strike. My sister born with a spinal muscular condition. Wheelchair sure, but she's sharper, funnier, and stronger than 90% of the people I've met. That did not matter one bit to Carla, the HOA president. Nope. Princess's ramp was, and I quote unsightly, her medical delivery boxes disrupted visual harmony, the wheelchair van in the driveway against community standards. I reported Carla's harassment twice. Both times she looked at me with this smug little smile like I was a child and said, "The HOA decides what's appropriate here." Real power trip, that one. And then 1 month later, things cranked up another notch. I started noticing these two dudes patrolling the block, black tactical vests, radios, boots. HOA security splashed across their backs like it meant something. I'd seen mall cops with more credibility. No real badges, just attitude. Princess said they watched her every time she rolled out to water her plants. I told her to ignore them. What else can you do? But harassment, it only goes one way forward. Then came that Thursday afternoon. Quiet day sun hanging low, birds doing their thing. I stepped out for groceries. Princess stayed home watering her plants on the porch, just like always. She loves that little spray bottle, makes her feel like she's running her own jungle out there. I'd barely made it past the produce aisle when my phone blew up FaceTime, and I could see right away she was shaking, crying, whispering, "Come home, please hurry." The camera flips, and suddenly I see two men, those fake HOA cops, towering over her in the driveway. One with his hand locked tight on her wheelchair. The other bent down, shouting something inches from her face. I swear there's a noise only an older brother makes in a moment like that. I floored it home so fast the tires screamed. Turned onto our street doing 70, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't a threat. This was an attack. Two grown men in body armor standing over my sister. Her cheeks streaked with tears, face red where someone had hit her. Princess wasn't even screaming. She was just shaking. Like a kid in a storm, hands up, helpless. Something in me cracked open. Like some new piece of me just woke up. I was out of the car before it even stopped. The skinny one turned and sneered, "This is HOA business. Back off, civilian. Buddy, wrong line, wrong day." I took one step closer and whispered, "You should have checked who her brothers are." And man, they had no idea what was coming. See, what they didn't know was that I wasn't alone. They didn't know the storm that was rolling in right behind me. My twin brothers, both Navy SEALs, were only seconds away. The first fake cop finally realized I wasn't bluffing. The second one noticed something worse. The way my hands curled into fists, the way I leaned forward like gravity was daring me to break his jaw. Princess was still shaking, whispering, "Please, don't let them touch me again." My jaw was locked up so tight I thought my teeth would crack. The big one jabbed 2 fingers at me like I was a dog on the sidewalk. "Sir, step back. This is official HOA enforcement. Your sister refused our compliance check." That's when I cut him off. "You touched her." He shrugged, still smug. "We're allowed to use force if residents don't cooperate." "Oh no, pal. You're not allowed to touch her. You're not cops. You're criminals." And then the thin one made the mistake of his life. He reached for the pistol on his hip. Not a warning, not a threat. Just pulled it out and aimed it straight at Princess. She gasped, couldn't even scream, just froze, hands shaking up to her chest. And just then, tires screeched behind me, a black truck sliding into the street like a guided missile. Doors flew open before the engine stopped. My brothers Elias and Caleb. Elias the quiet one, steady as a rock. Caleb loud as thunder, all muscle and bone and heart. Both Navy SEALs. Both done being polite. Elias didn't even raise his voice, just aimed his pistol, cool as ice, and said, "Drop the gun now." Slowly. The thin fake cop swung his weapon toward him. Stupid move. Caleb was already moving. He crossed the yard in 3 steps, grabbed the guy's wrist, twisted it, and slammed him so hard on the driveway I heard concrete crack. The gun bounced into the grass. The guy howled, but Caleb's knee pinned his spine down. The big one panicked, pulled out his own gun, but his hands were shaking so hard he could barely aim. Princess screamed. I lunged, but Elias was quicker. He didn't shoot, just stepped sideways, chopped the guy's wrist like a surgeon, and sent the gun skidding across the pavement. Before the dude even registered pain, Elias hooked his leg behind his knee and dropped him like a sack of wet sand. 6 seconds tops. Both fake cops flat on the ground. One wheezing, the other clutching his ribs, Caleb's weight grinding the skinny one's cheek into the concrete. But we weren't done yet. Caleb grabbed the thin guy's collar, yanked him up. "You laid hands on a girl in a wheelchair. You pointed a gun at her. Who sent you?" The guy whimpered, jaw trembling. Caleb slammed him back down. "Answer, or I break more than your pride." Elias glared at the big one. "And don't lie. I'll know." Finally, the big one cracked. "Carla," he blurted. "Carla, Charlotte, she hired us, said the girl was causing trouble, told us to scare her." My fists were trembling. Carla, the HOA president. The same woman who'd called Princess's Ramp an eyesore. That cold, ugly fire lit in my gut. Princess was crying into my shirt, my brother standing over the 2 fake cops like they were waiting for a judge to pass sentence. And then sirens. Real sirens. Not HOA security, but actual police echoing through the neighborhood. Princess clutched my arm tighter. She wasn't crying now. She was just watching real justice roll up for the first time. Elias holstered his weapon as the cruiser turned the corner. Caleb still had his knee on that guy's spine, daring him to move. 2 cops stepped out, real uniforms, not some stitched-on vests. The lead Sergeant Harlow looked from the guns on the ground to Princess's face, then to the 2 limp bodies under my brothers. "Explain," he said, calm but cold. I pointed at the big guy. He hit my sister. Pointed at the thin one. He pointed a gun at her. And they said the HOA president sent them. Elias added, "They admitted it." Sergeant Harlow's face darkened. "Both of you step back." Caleb got up, wiped his hands like he'd touched something dirty. The officers rolled the fake cops over and froze. Fake badges, illegally carried guns, zip ties, and written orders from Carla. Compliance target, Princess. Harlow didn't hesitate. Both under arrest. Multiple felony charges. The big one whimpered, "We didn't mean to." "You assaulted a disabled woman," Harlow snapped. "Save it for the judge." But we still weren't done. Because Sergeant Harlow turned to us. "You 3 deliver the takedown." I nodded. "Before they killed her." He looked us over, then nodded back. "Good. Without your intervention, this would have ended differently." The 2 were cuffed and dragged to the cruisers, but the real climax came 10 minutes later. A pearl-white SUV pulled into the neighborhood, shiny, expensive, screaming power. Carla Charlotte herself stepping out like she owned the world. Perfect hair, perfect nails, arrogance cranked to 11. "Excuse me," she snapped. "Those men work for the HOA. Release them now." Princess flinched. Caleb just laughed, a low, dangerous sound. Sergeant Harlow raised a hand. "Ma'am, step back." Carla snapped. "I gave them authority to enforce." "No," Elias said, voice like granite. "You gave them authority to terrorize." Carla froze when she saw Princess's bruised cheek. My voice dropped. "She's a wheelchair user." Carla opened her mouth again, but Harlow was already lifting a folder. "Miss Charlotte, We have written evidence connecting you to the assault of a disabled resident, illegal impersonation of law enforcement, and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Carla's face went ghost white. You can't turn around, Harlow said, snapping cuffs on her wrists. When the metal clicked shut, Princess exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. As they loaded Carla into the cruiser, she shrieked, "This isn't over," Caleb just shrugged. "It is for you." And suddenly there was this quiet, like the neighborhood finally remembered how to breathe. Princess wheeled over, stopped right in the middle of her three brothers, and touched each of our hands. "You saved me," she whispered. "No," Elias said, kneeling beside her. "We protected our own." Caleb ruffled her hair. "And we always will." I stood back, looking at my family, the team, the reason this house means something. The sun dropped behind the trees, lighting everything gold. 2 fake cops in the hospital, 1 corrupt HOA boss in cuffs, a neighborhood waking up from fear, and us standing stronger than ever. People always say heroes are born. But sometimes they're just forged together, one wild day at a time. So what do you think, folks? Did those fake cops and their boss get what they deserved? If it was your sister, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know, because in this world, justice is a team sport. And hey, if you've ever stood up to someone abusing their power, tell me about it. Let's get a real conversation going about what's right, what's wrong, and where you draw the line. Hit like, subscribe, and share this story, because the world needs to know what real family, real justice, and real backbone look like.